New York rise to success, like straight up.
That's crazy.
The fact, bro, you cannot tell me that that shit was not like a plant. Why is that? The site was called World Star Hip Hop,
Right.
and we
Niggas
know
barely
it
talk
for
about hip-hop, right?
exactly.
Bro, facts. It was never known for hip hop at all.
They just associating with getting knocked out and twerk team with hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I don't. Yeah. Damn.
Okay, we should be good now.
That's got to be a point in the documentary.
All right, we back. Shout out to those who stayed, you know what I'm saying, viewing. Shout out to those who are going to catch back up. Right now we talking about how World Star Hip Hop became a verb, an adjective, and a way of life, a movement. You know, it was a culture. Also, but, you know, I think we still haven't moved on. We haven't segued into what exactly is a producer, right? So this is a conversation that I've had with a lot of people relatively recently. This is a conversation that I've had with myself recently. As I, you know, started off collecting drum sounds and robbing open drum sounds from CDs and vinyl. And now I have a mob of musicians surrounding me at any moment. And I no longer need to find the sounds in my mind. I can just think of them, you know. And there's somebody around me who knows how to make them, or cure, you know, or to make it happen. So yeah, man, I'm gonna throw this question out there to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is a producer? And let's be as comprehensive as possible. No vague stuff. He responsible. Nah, nigga. What? Like, let's get down to it.
I feel like a producer is the project manager for a portion or all of the creation process.
Okay.
A producer can hold many roles. They can be the programmer, they can be the artist, you know what I'm saying? They could be the songwriter. But at the end of the day, to me, they are a project manager for all or a specific portion of the creation process.
Right. Okay. So let's dive into that. I want to juxtapose that against the tests of how people might feel what a producer is. So you're saying that a producer does not have to make the music, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You're saying a producer doesn't even have to choose who's going to make the music.
No.
Okay, hold on. I want to make this really quick. You said all or part of.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
what part is non-negotiable? This part has to be there.
So the reason I say all or part is because that is actually, that's a segue to the prefixes that go on to producers. So that conversation is meant to lead into, there is the vocal producer, there's the executive producer, and that's supposed to leave room for those. You know what I'm saying? So then you could be like, okay, so the producer doesn't have to make the music. Where does that put him or her? Okay, now we can talk about executive producing because there's a space for that. He doesn't have to complete all, he doesn't have to be responsible for the whole creation process, but the portion that, all right, now, is there a word for that? We have vocal producers, we have, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's kind of where that goes.
Yeah.
To me.
But escaping the specificity of that, right? So escaping the prefix, right? Vocal producer, executive, blah, blah, blah. You just say producer, right? Okay. Whether they're doing one thing or 10 things, is there a one thing that inside of that umbrella of responsibilities a producer has to do?
Yeah, I feel like you have to, at some level, approve the final product.
I feel it.
I feel that. Sure.
Like it can't be completed without completed and put out. You know what I'm saying? And
Okay,
expressed.
so I'm going to challenge you. No, I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just going to challenge the thought. Okay, so earlier today, LJ was talking about producers be sending out beat packs, things happen, et cetera, right? Okay, a lot of times when this happens, they don't even know
Yep.
so-and-so is using the song. They don't know anything about the mix, blah, blah, blah. Like, a lot of times, I can't tell you how many producers I know where whole stuff comes out, and they're like, oh, man, they use blah, blah, blah.
What is this?
Yeah.
So
But they're credited as producers.
as producers, yeah. So and so to me, that was why I said portion of, because they approved what they sent out. You know what I'm saying? They approved how this vibe. You know what I'm saying? And all that. Like, you know. So that's kind of where I feel like that's where you can have space to be able to still call these people producers because they produced something on this.
Okay.
All right. So what's the difference between the producer and the beat maker in your mind?
I feel like under this
Hold on.
definition,
Hold on. Quickly, under this definition that he's giving me, I think a beat maker is still a producer.
And
Right.
that's what I feel, especially because I definitely used to hang on to like, nah, bro, if you ain't doing this, then you're not a producer.
Yeah.
But like, just understanding how so much has changed.
I ain't gonna lie though. I'm you know what? That's what we call it. Today I'm pushing back, man.
Let's go.
You know what I'm saying? Today I'm pushing back. I'm just like I've been doing. I have problems with everything. You know what I'm saying? All right, so like, so push back on that, right?
that's what he said.
Yo,
I like how he's whispering and trying to like we
yo, come on, man.
right now, bro. That's what. All right.
Yo, welcome to Type B. We here at Outer Space. It's your man, I Make Mad Beats, Kendrick Lamaestro. You know what I'm saying? We got LJ on deck. We got Sheena typing up on the keys, no doubt. I feel like I had to reintroduce ourselves. Our name is Hov, you know what I'm saying? All right. Getting back to what I was saying. Okay. I ain't gonna lie, man. This might be the OG in me.
I think it is.
You know what I'm saying?
I know where you going.
I don't know. This starting to feel like some participation trophy type shit, fam. Standards just be getting lower for everybody that feel like they did something. Like,
I feel that to a degree though, because I mean, a lot of times, what if you're just not? If Pharrell sent the pack to Kendrick and he doesn't have the time to oversee the session, are you gonna call Pharrell a beat maker?
well, first of all, Pharrell would definitely fucking be there.
I mean, I'll just use that as an example, of course, but
yeah. I mean, I think that there's a lot of nuance in it. And I'm not even saying that my previous statement is backed by any sort of
right.
oh, here's my argument for that.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
I got you.
I'm just saying, like,
that's the error.
it absolutely is the error.
got you.
It's where, somebody recorded that, now that nigga's a producer. Versus,
I feel that.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
In that era, could you like? And I mean this without a joke. No jokes. Like in that era though, like could you even really send junts? Like I feel
That's what I'm saying. Like it's kind of different now. It's kind of different now.
You absolutely could. That's what they used to do. They used to, I mean, obviously not like
you had to
today.
mail a CD though, right?
You had to. This nigga saying like you sending a raven in the sky. Like this nigga said using the mail.
You know what I'm saying? Like in my head, like because I know like niggas had to pull up to the studio with their NBC and record that shit in. Like at that point, you just might as well just book the session like and
This
record
nigga
it.
said nail a CD as if it was some shit off Game of Thrones, bro. Like what? Nah, but it wasn't even that. Like they would send NPC discs, right? They would send the beat. You know what I'm saying? So that way, if you use it, you had the stems already, right? You know, they would send those those files.
Damn.
But yeah, I mean, obviously times are different. The accessibility to production. I'm assuming that's my man Sonny. Sonny, what up, homie? Bounce God, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
Sonny.
Yeah. So obviously things have changed. Accessibility has changed, and that has therefore changed a lot of the stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I just think that or maybe you know what it is. Okay, this is what it is. I think so logically, everything you guys are saying makes absolute sense, and that's the way it should go. Right. Absolutely. Okay, now, I think culturally, right?
Right.
I feel like if all of those things can be a producer, then there needs to be another term that shows when somebody is Pharrell.
Exactly.
And I think the easiest way to say is super producer, but so then what is a super producer, right? So like Pharrell's not just gonna send you a pack and then he get the credit. So Pharrell's gonna sit there with you. He's gonna play the keys. He's gonna adjust it. He's gonna help you get in the vibe. He's gonna bring in the right musicians. He's gonna bring in the right mixing engineer, the right recording engineer. He's gonna produce the shit out of the song, right? And so I say like, it feels unfair to call him and the guy who's sending MP3 in the email the same thing.
Right.
I feel you.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel. And it's like, when you're striving to say, I want to be a producer, and that's your idea of it, you just, it kind of creates like internal fighting, or just resentment towards you. Be like, yeah, me too. You know what I'm saying? And it's not
what
you're not aiming at the same thing.
Yeah, I definitely feel
which is fine. You don't have to aim at the same thing, but to have it be the same, it just we be having these debates like, you're not a producer. And like, what the fuck you talking about? It's like, and now these folks can't work together because, and so I don't know. We need a new term.
I think we definitely need a new term, because I was just gonna say, like, I've known like Frank Dukes. He makes samples, so he would send samples out. He's credited on a lot of shit as a producer.
Absolutely.
Like, would you not credit him as the
real.
person that's just bringing in samples? Are they not a producer?
Yeah.
Frank Dukes is raw too.
Exactly.
Yeah. But he had to produce that.
Big shout out Dukes.
That song. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but I'm saying he's not in the studio.
Wait, he's not. So,
He not even in the studio with the producer.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
He ain't in no studio.
He just sitting there.
You know what I'm saying?
Are you not giving him?
Right. Well, I mean, if you sample a Dr. Dre song, right? Is Dr. Dre a producer on your joint? Because he had to produce the song you
He
sampled.
don't get his credit.
Yo, is people out here sampling Dr. Dre songs? That's the thing. People doing that?
Man, people sample anything,
yeah.
so I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
That really just gave me an idea. I was like,
I wouldn't be surprised. Look.
What Dr. Dre joint? Yeah.
So my man Sonny said, what about a digital composer? Yo, first of all, I'm gonna take a quick tangent on that. I feel like every new person who has added me on Facebook recently, when you go to their profile, that should say digital creator. I'm like, the fuck is y'all niggas creating? What is this? Like,
digital composer. That's.
Hold on, what is that? A digital composer like the beat maker, or are they like?
I thought that was a DAW.
That's
DP. that digital composer. That's a DAW.
What's good? Oh, my man Titan in this joint. What up, Titan?
What's good? Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like we were on the right track when we started to say beat maker as a term.
Sure.
Like, I feel like having that distinction, maybe not according to my current definition of a producer, but I feel like that started to help the distinction between what you're talking about, like the Pharrells and the sending out the pack people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But it feels like a demotion, and we've already kind of like.
but that's what I'm saying though. Is
But I mean, okay. So here's my concern with that though, is that those people are being credited as producers though, and so if according to the idea you two created, even at a minimal perspective, they're not just being called producers, they are.
Yeah.
They are producers. And so therefore, like, it feels like the term that we create should be one above that versus trying to demote those people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
and beat maker as a term, even though it's come up, just doesn't feel like it's Yeah,
I mean,
you're
but
right.
it's
It needs to be head
it's-
honcho.
It's kind of one of those things like you got LeBron and you got somebody that just came out of college. They still an NBA player.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron, he's just at a different level of his game. So it's like, how do you you
Is
know,
it fair-
you're gonna
is it
tell
fair-
him because you're not on LeBron level, you're not an NBA player,
Right.
You're not a professional
basketball player.
player.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
That's real.
I mean, there should definitely be a spectrum to like, yeah. I mean, like, if just because you're not an all-star does not mean you are not one of the greatest on the planet to do it. You know what I'm saying? There should definitely be a spectrum of producer. I am just saying there's such a difference between the guy sending an MP3
of course.
and Quincy Jones.
No, facts.
Quincy Jones can't just be a producer. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be a different name for that. Or and I don't want to. I also feel like too when you call somebody a super producer, that's also in my mind that is regarding and or denoting success more than what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So you would call like Pharrell a super producer. I feel like 90% of the people who call him a super producer is because of how successful he is. It's not because
Yeah.
he's all encompassing in terms of his
Well, I
talent.
know for me, the success is a thing, but
Yeah.
is definitely on the fact that, like, just Pharrell as an example, he's. I guess my term when I hear super producer is more so like if you're, of course, you're making the music, but you're also developing the talent, and you're the one basically who jumpstarts these artists their careers.
Right.
Like, because it's certain artists that you won't know about unless they were working with these producers
Yeah.
because of who they are or whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm hitting up the thesaurus. See if we could see if we can find something.
Right.
Let's see, we got architect, manufacturer, constructor,
I mean, would you just consider them that's
the artisan,
executive producer?
assembler.
Like that, I feel like
Yeah, but I'm saying, but if you call somebody an executive producer,
That's already a
you're, the
thing.
thing
I mean,
you're
it is.
inferring is that they weren't actually doing this.
are you? I feel like for me, executive producers, like you said, is that's the project manager. Whether you're producing, making the beat,
Yeah.
or just overseeing the entire song.
So hold on. So you know executive producers who actually, I mean, you think if you were to walk into a group of 10 artists and you said so is going to executive produce this, you think those people are expecting that person to make the beat, like to actually make the music?
I'm saying I'm not taking it off the table.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like for real, he's going to oversee the entire thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a producer, super producer, but he's also the executive producer. Like he has the final say. So
Yeah.
so that's in my eyes, that's what I would like consider the super producer. They're the ones that's overseeing the entire thing. I feel like because so many things have changed. Like you said, so many people that aren't making the beats, they're getting credited as a producer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that has to be,
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like super producer to me that does it's talk that speaks more to like commercial success to me.
Right.
I guess so it's hard to snatch that and try to absorb other meanings into it. And same thing with executive producer. Like I feel like executive producer like just automatically has a connotation of more of the business hands off, like not directly involved in the more important parts of the creative process. You know what I mean? More so like the final say so, the funder, and you know what I'm saying, and like come in after it's done, say if it's good or not, kind of energy.
I hear that, but at the same time, it's example. If Mad came in, you got a song, whatever, he like, that's dope, but you need to change that snare.
Okay. This is a great. I love this tangent. Okay. So if I say, yo, you need to change that snare, and he changes the snare, how am I credited now? Am I credited off of that? Right? And then how?
I mean, from what I've seen, you get credit as a producer, especially.
Every snare I'm asking you to change.
No, but I'm saying like, if you look at just the credits of, especially like Kanye, he will have a lot of people credited as producers,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen
He
and
kind of
heard.
went kind of far with that though.
Yeah, but I've seen and heard. If you have an idea, you be like, yo, because
Do you be crediting people as producers or as songwriters?
nah, I've seen a
seen
lot
both.
of people credited as producers.
I've seen both.
Yeah. But I've watched interviews where guys would be like, yeah, man, I just came in, and I added a hi-hat rhythm, and I got credited as a producer. Because I mean, think about it. If that hi-hat rhythm is different, that song might not hit the same.
Yeah. Well, see,
So okay, no, go ahead. You got it. My bad.
well, I think that's valuable, and I mean, I feel like that's kind of another part to the conversation
Yeah.
where I feel like Kanye definitely values being a producer, and what comes with it. But there's also just kind of the spirit of the title isn't really what's important. So let's just make these joints and give people what they can, whatever, to be a part of this, whether it's songwriter, producer, because that's not really what's that important. You know what I'm saying? In terms of the spirit of the joint, it's like, is the song hard? You know what I mean? And
Sure.
the name that you get on it, as long as you're recognized for it, is that really what's important? You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. If you in that space, you want your credit for what you know.
Well, yeah, exactly. So the guy who contributed, I feel like people have an issue with people getting credited for small contributions and that taken away from the whole pie. That's the issue I have is people. Not that I have, that I've heard is that people are like, dang, you're inviting too many people into this, so none of us are getting large amounts of recognition or money. You know what I'm saying,
that,
for this?
But that's on like the business thing. But as a pure creative, like if I bring in elements to a song and it becomes a success or not or whatever, I played a part in that. So you telling me I'm not a producer just because?
No. What I'm saying is that that's why I feel like that's why I personally feel like Kanye's ethos is that if you participate in this, then everybody getting credit. You are a producer, and it's like, and that's why it be 30
right,
folks.
of course.
Whereas other camps would be like, yeah, but you ain't really do much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but is that because of an ego thing, or like what is that? Because if you still bring a piece to the table.
All right, we got my man Gerald Leak. He says adding a hi-hat rhythm is different than suggesting a change in a snare tone. One is building in the beat. One is a part of the peer review process if you are letting other professionals listen for critique. I feel okay. If we were talking about anything but hip hop, I would agree.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, but I think your choice of snare
and all of that shit
in
matters.
hip hop, it matters
All of
way
that
more
matters.
than any other genre.
All of that matters, and that's what I'm saying. If even as a listener, I may not play anything, but as a listener, if I hear like something's off, and then I tell you like, bro, try this snare or try this kick. Like, am I not gonna get it? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like that valuing that level of detail, even it may seem insignificant, I think is kind of the opposite mindset of needing a higher term for somebody like Pharrell in the process. Like I think it's kind of a different energy where it's like focused on the people rather than the thing that's being made. You know what I mean?
Well, I think I definitely feel like I don't know. I feel like the conversation regarding like, hey man, are we all focused on creating the best product, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like that's a separate conversation.
Yeah.
I think right now we're just talking about labeling and labels and then what goes into a label versus like, should you care about this label? I feel like that's a different conversation.
Yeah, because even with that, you will find people who know you did the work, but try to discredit you just so they can get a bigger cut of the money. So
hold on, I want to zoom out a little bit. Because this is something I feel like I deal with personally. do y'all really think that like the people with the vision to make some of these things happen get as much credit as the people pressing the buttons?
I feel like if you scream your name like DJ Khaled,
On the
yeah,
brand, yeah. I think
you do. But I don't feel like inherently you will. I kind of feel like I feel like it's pretty much with anything. But you know, nobody's checking for the person that like decided to put these specific people in the room, like they're checking for the person that sang the song, or actually did press the buttons. You know what I'm saying? Because those are the obvious things that you see that you can have appreciation for.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think you said
Hold
something.
on, just to, again, some,
Trying to push it back.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, on some that, man. Y'all, Quincy Jones did not have a tag. Quincy Jones wasn't out here like, yo, dog, let me tell y'all how much I produce. Hold on a second. Hello? I'm good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, Quincy wasn't out here screaming like DJ Khaled. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I feel like he had a lot of people doing that though. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like.
But you're saying that even if he wasn't doing that, there was still the brand that surrounded him of him being a mastermind.
Yeah.
And having a vision. Same thing we're going for like Rick Rubin, right?
Yeah, like,
Absolutely. Okay, I got you.
yeah, I feel like people like those types of figures like absolutely have to have a machine that informs like, yo, this is how and why this is a success. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's secret. Same thing with like engineers, like niggas like Alex Toomey would
You never know. This nigga has so much to do with the
engineers
success
are-
of these artists. Like,
Yeah, facts.
engineers.
I was just gonna say low key.
Engineers is the most underappreciated cog in the entire music industry, bro.
Because
Without a doubt.
like you were just saying with Swiss, it was definitely the
Oh,
engineer.
million% the engineer, bro. The engineer, man. I'm a fall
And
back.
that okay, going into that, like when do you cross that line from becoming the engineer to actually being a producer? Because
Yeah.
a lot of engineers are producing these songs.
Yo, big shout out my G, Ken Lewis, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, who I think navigated that extremely well. You know what I'm saying? Like, navigated that not just technically, but also like relationship-wise. Like, to where, because here's the thing, right? You bring your stuff to an engineer. You don't want the engineer. What I found is that producers and artists don't want the engineer. It depends on how secure they are.
That's
It depends on how secure they are, because oftentimes they don't want the engineer to be pushing into either their vision or their credit for the genius of this, right? They just want you to make it sound good, and then once it sounds good, to be able to say, I'm the mastermind behind this. It's funny. I learned so much. I learned so much in New York, bro. Like, I learned how so much of what we appreciate in music, texturally, tonally, emotionally, when these files get brought to the studio, that's not there yet.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
not. That's when I began to look at engineers as artists.
Yeah.
Like,
you have to.
they're not just like making this sound good. They're literally infusing emotion and texture in it that gives you that hits you a certain way, and it fucks with your emotions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And after that, I realized, wow, engineers are really out here. You know what I'm saying? And it made me value producers differently. This is why Jay Dilla is my GOAT. It's because all the other people we swear are the GOATs, I've heard what they brought to the studio. It did not have that. With Dilla, it did.
After gate.
Dilla was a producer and an engineer. He was a sonic master, right? He produced more of the sounds you hear, percentage-wise, than I think any other producer we've ever heard in our lifetime. Right. What you're hearing is really him. It's not him being saved. It's not him. It's not somebody else coming along and making it sound better. It's him. Absolutely. The complete package. 1,000%. But yeah, man, like I shout out Ken Lewis, man, because, you know, he seems to have really mastered the relationship with producers and artists, right? Which if you follow the people who are successful in this industry, you know that's just as much of a skill as playing the piano or anything else, right? And it feels like he's mastered bringing value and then being able to allow you to trust him to bring value in ways maybe other engineers wouldn't be allowed to. Right? I feel like the same would go for Michael Brower, right? And a lot of legendary and on the come up engineers where, you know, you're coming to them not just for tonal or texture, but for artistic control. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I feel like it takes a while to get to that level of trust. You know.
Yeah. You gotta like. I feel like you have to. All those examples to me, like you have to have locked in with somebody for a while. You know what I'm saying? And just like it has to be. I don't feel like I'm gonna say freelance, but just like a random like engineer who just does everybody all the time.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like you can like get to that level because something like crazy has to be birthed from like a tried and true time, you know, time situation. Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's also determined on the level you're at too. Because if you're like up and coming, a lot of these artists don't have a vision or don't know how they want their songs to sound. They just know, I like this song. But it's up to you as an engineer to figure out what that's supposed to look and sound like at the end and help them bring out more of what they're going for.
Sure.
Right. I feel that, yeah. Like at the very bottom, when people just...
Yeah.
I'm like, that you just plug the mic.
We in the studio. I'm an engineer. I have an XLR cable. Right? Like, it's just the angle. Y'all niggas look like I pulled out a fucking snake or something.
It just looks like you unplugged one of our mics. It was so calm to me. Yeah, man. MJ just cut out. Yeah, we ended up the podcast. Yeah, we still never figured out like if we got a separate. So we got Erector, you know what I mean? So Erector producer.
We not saying that. Whatever we call this nigga, it's not that.
You know what I'm saying? I like master producer.
This is all sounding okay. We falling back off. Next topic. We falling back.
Big producer.
Stop it, nigga. Oh, God. Thank you. Stop. Please stop. Yo, we got people laughing at us in the comments, bro. Damn.
Yeah, man.
That's a different one.
All right, y'all. We need another word. We calling these producers. We need another job. We not leaving up to Kid Maestro.
What are we calling for real?
We see what he gonna come up with, and it's terrible. You know what I
I
mean?
thought master producer.
Let's
was
calm
a
down,
pretty
man.
good
Let's calm
one.
it down. You know what I'm saying? We still live from outer space. Andromeda to be specific. All right, man. We got like what? 10 more minutes. Right? We got 10 more minutes. Kid. So are we collectively saying Eminem was the worst producer of all time? Right?
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
The fact that I forgot about him,
Yeah.
I think that's
Okay. So Eminem's the worst producer of all time. Anybody can be a producer. Absolutely anybody. Somebody walked in the room and the sound of their shoes on the rug gave somebody else an idea. That nigga's now the producer and he should be credited. This is what we came up with, right? Yeah, that's wild. I guess the participation trophy is at an all-time high.
But you know, yes, you get credit as a producer, but you know, songwriter, you know what I'm saying, is I feel like that's different.
Okay, so let's talk
I
about
feel like that's
songwriting.
different.
So-
So I definitely think that. Oh shit, maybe it's not.
That's what I'm saying. 'Cause I don't.
Shit, maybe it's not. I mean, because okay, so I definitely feel like there is a lot of value in somebody walking in and is like, "Yo, switch the snare out," for sure. I do think that's different than saying, coming in and saying, "Hey, the 808 should go like this, do 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 do," instead of like do 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 do. You know what I'm saying? I think that's different.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a different credit. I feel like it's a different credit. Like I think
So what do you call it?
that's a songwriter. That's a song. That's
Somebody,
songwriting.
so anybody affecting any sort of melody is a songwriter.
I feel like there's
99% of people are gonna suggest there had to have been words involved. Right?
wait. Well, no, I don't think.
You say songwriter, you mean to tell me that the immediate connotation is not gonna be words?
Well, no, I think like if it's like if I
Hey,
make
y'all
the
out
beat,
there, hold on.
if
Y'all
I
out there
make the
watching.
beat and Sheena writes the lyrics,
Yeah.
that's 50% songwriter of the song to me.
So the writer's credits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. So, okay, you're discussing it from a perspective of writers' credits and the business.
Yeah.
I'm talking about people, right? So I'm saying if you were to walk outside and say, "Yo, I'm a songwriter," they're gonna say, "Okay, well, let me hear a song that you wrote," and you're gonna say, "All right, the 808 goes like this." Like, they're gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
I'm referring to like credit on the record. But I'm definitely checking my song. You know what I'm saying? Checking my song on Spotify and it be a beat. So you know.
Yeah, I feel that, man. I don't know, bro. This all feels like, let's be pragmatic about this, man. The reason why to me it's important that there are levels to this, and there's levels to any discussion, right? The reason why is because every time you lower the bar for people to be included, excellence begins to happen less. Every time. You know what I'm saying? Like every time you make it easier for people to get the same recognition that somebody else is trying to train 10,000 years to get, right? Like your guys dilute the swimming pool, right? So for me it's okay, cool, right? Fine. Everybody's a producer now. Let's create another term. Like you can't have a homie downloaded, a fucking lyric over your own splice, and all he did was download a hi-hat loop, and then he came in the studio and told you about it. That nigga cannot be listening like Timberland.
I mean, on the other end though, like you talk about like people like Angel who is programming and shit, and not credited as a producer. Sound Oracle, you know, Sound Oracle, Yanni, like you know, all those guys. So I don't know, and I feel like, and I'm wondering like when you talk about lowering the bar of being included, is that including actually being able to be in the room, like you know what I'm saying? Because in my head, and you would know better. In my head, the amount of people inputting big or small records, I don't think that's really changed. I do think whether or not they get credit has changed. So if the amount of actually in the room is being increased, then yeah, I feel if it's a similar process, but just less more people are getting recognized for that. I don't know if that really is the quality. It's just not paying your paycheck.
I
No, I don't think. I think you're looking internally. You're thinking about how many people in the room. I'm looking externally. Meaning like, why? Like if I was 16 years old, and somebody who walked in the room and did this, got the same producer's credit as Timbaland. Why would I ever aspire to be as good as Timbaland?
I see what you're saying. So like,
Yeah. So now I'm just gonna do this all day. Call myself a producer.
I see what you're saying.
I feel that, I feel like that's a personal thing because you may get that credit just for the table. I feel like it's up to decide if you want more or less. Like if tap on the table is good enough for you. Like I feel like that's a personal pride or ego, whatever goals are.
Okay, but this is what I'm talking about. So now that we're in this lane of external thought, that's what I'm talking about. You're right. Absolutely right. In the midst of that decision or character thing, right? That dude was validating and being a producer. Now he's gonna have SoundCloud. He's gonna Spotify. He's gonna blah blah blah. And so it's less about how he felt his character, and more about like when you say who is a producer. Now 6,000 people are raising their hand, and only three of them have the skill that you're actually looking for because with the bar so much. And the nigga so we end up having to you know. You're dying. That's why I say like wedding is swimming like
what is that cutoff like in a world where producer the term producer is what we're talking about.
The same thing on your engineer. You know what I'm saying? Like we be talking about compressors and blah blah. Somebody literally just got yesterday. They got Neutron. They have a trial of it of Neutron, and now they're engineers. Right. You really think
so in this like let's say producer lays the label that we feel like it should be anywhere and denotes like that level of separation. Right. What is the cutoff in skill sets? Because then you got a guy like Jay Dilla with Complete Package, and you got a guy like Pete Rock who needed an engineer. Right. What do those two are those two is one producer and one like what's the yeah so where does it stop where it be like okay
and I think to me that was the question of the day when I asked what is a producer, that is the original question. It's asking us to make very hard and popular decisions of like okay this is nice when the producer has it. But again, back to my ass. What is the thing that absolutely has to be a part of the pie for you to consider this a pie? Right. So like, is it the crust? Is it the burning? What is something is non-negotiable?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't have a term for that kind of producer yet. We have yet to figure that out. So help us out, please. I try. But I'm not sure what is the threshold of like. That level of producer.
It's now because I mean now you we're talking AI making beats and like it will become a point where you'll hear people have whole albums of just AI produced.
Okay, so this is my current one. This is my current identity. My current. Most of this conversation I've just been. Most of the time, I'm challenging you guys and stuff, right? But here, why I do. I think you can't call yourself a producer with like to me one thing is non-negotiable is vision. Meaning like if a guy comes in and does this, right, and then he just does this fucking crap. But somebody else hears that and is like, yo, I should be in the beat, and then put that on this part of the beat. That's the newest vision. Not the guy who does this. Right. And so for me, that person plays additional keys, additional percussion. Right. That person was a session instrumentalist. The person who decides where and how to use it, that guy's the producer. It's the vision. It's the ability to decide what is and what isn't to build a song, right? And it has nothing to do with whether or not you actually played it. It's did you decide to use it.
Quincy.
Absolutely. That's a producer.
Does that vision? Does that like when you think about producers like just initially is that really applying to songs words, or do you have that same vision with like making beats just instrumentals and all that?
Yeah.
So when somebody is making beats, how we talk about instrumental. How would you know the difference between a good producer when it comes to instrumental the person who made it?
Okay, so if the goal of it is to not have vocals, then you finished it. Then you're a producer. Yeah, I mean, if you walk into it thinking I am making instrumental music, then that is your vision. You completed the vision.
In that regard, let's say you make an instrumental project or whatever, and like I said, you're a producer. Let's say Beyonce hears something and do a song. You don't know about it because today's time, so many producers, beat maker, whatever, they send packs out. They don't even know if they make the album.
Sure.
So
to me, what happens in that scenario, right? So let's just take that. So Beyonce hears has an idea for a song. It makes the song. When that comes, that song is produced by Beyonce and whoever made that beat.
Okay. Yeah. I agree.
Okay, is that a difference in the packs out?
Yeah. I think if all you're doing is sending packs out, it's the same thing as sending samples out. Like. So do you credit the sampler as a producer? Whoever made the sample, brought you the sample. Yeah, I mean it. When you want to credit how they want to be credited. If they want to say I want to be credited as a producer, right. So in that regard, like you can't put someone that sends packs out as a producer in the same sense of for real. And that's why I'm saying absolutely.
Again, an example. So really. Okay. Yeah, never mind. I got it. Never mind.
You send the packs out. You're sending out a certain type of for future whatever certain sound like that. They have a vision. I think this beat go well with your future. Even though he's not in the room. Determine how the song comes out and how it sounds like. They still your eyes. They still producers. Like you they're sending out specific pack for a certain artist. So let me say this. I think I'm not dodging that question, but I will say that to me, when I see in the industry, how that happens now, it's not just beats, it's songs. People send out song ideas. So in other words, you have an artist line like that. Like instead of just being wrong, you're not just leaving. You're adding vocals. You're trying to get somebody to replicate their style to make the feeling picture. Right now, doing that is absolutely producing the song. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously it's not the same level of being in the studio writing this guy. I don't think you have to tick every box. If you presented vision and that vision was accepted and followed, you're I said we have the turn. Yeah, sure. I know ran out of time. live spaces. I make mad beats alongside these kids, my kids, on social media, particularly Thread. Yeah, my man LJ on deck. Shout out. She got the keys, holding down, doing the research to make sure our credits are right. And this is tight beat producer podcast. Operator Space, sponsored by Unapologetics. See you guys next week. Peace.